myself. I see the end, but I know below me your love is waiting to catch. I'm falling into you. There's no one's gonna love me like you do. Alright, ooh, I've got nothing to lose, so I can't stop, won't stop falling into you. The rush I felt in the free fall, as I lost control of my life. Jesus, I found that you've always had me. Your love was never in doubt. I wanna love you like you love me. I wanna love you like you love me. I'm falling into you. There's no one's gonna love me like you do. Alright, ooh, I've got nothing to lose, so I can't stop, won't stop falling into you. I'm falling into you. I'm falling into you, my God. I'm falling into you. I'm falling into you. I'm falling into you. I'm falling into you.
Happy New Year, everybody! What's up? My name is Esther, and I would like to wish you a very warm welcome to TC Youth if you're new here. But if you're not, welcome back. Happy Saturday. Happy New Year. Before we head on to the sermons, I would just like to give a few announcements. So please stay tuned in order for you to get even more connected with our family over here. So the first announcement is that we have online devos happening every week. Now, online devos is a place where, we get to learn more about the Bible, we get to talk about Jesus, and we get to just enjoy community and maybe even update each other on what's been going on in our lives. The second announcement is a pretty special announcement, and that is that we are discontinuing Friday Fuel. There will no longer be Friday Fuels on Zoom. However, we're using this opportunity to start a new culture, a new tradition in TC Youth, and that is to have collective devos for both guys and girls tribes join together at the last Friday every month. So it'll be the last Friday of every month. We're gonna have collective devos on Zoom, not physical. Yeah, so that's gonna be something that's new for 2022. And the last announcement is that we have this service happening every single Saturday. The online service for TC Youth happens every Saturday at 3 p.m. and the offline physical service happens every 4 p.m. at the Collective City Bank. And if you guys would like to join in the physical one, you can totally just DM us at thecollective.youth, or you can contact your tribe leaders. And that's all for the announcements. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the sermon. Cut. And that's all for the announcements. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the service, and let's head on to the sermon.
What is up, TC Youth family? And guess what? We're going to be starting a brand new series today called Bittersweet. Bittersweet. Kind of like parents' passive-aggressive backhanded compliments, right? It's like, hey, you finally did the dishes for once in your life. And it's like, oh, thank you, right? Like, bittersweet. No, look, we're talking about a series of how sometimes revenge, although it comes from a bitter place, it tastes sweet for yourself, right? When you're angry, when you're frustrated, when you want to wish the worst for someone, you want to get back at someone, it's bittersweet. It's bitter because it hurt you, but it's sweet because it feels so good to want to do something wrong to someone. To hold grudges, to be angry, to be frustrated, bitter, sweet. And so we're going to be tackling this series for the next couple of weeks of how to go about this concept of, well, how do we work through our bitterness and actually let go of grudges so it becomes sweetness. Have you guys ever been pranked before? Ever in your life? Ever done pranking or been pranked? I've done a couple pranks, but there's a couple times that I've been pranked too far. And in those times I've been pranked a little too far, I got mad, I got frustrated, I got agitated. Those things end up happening. And I want to play a quick clip here of just a prank that maybe went a little too far, maybe for some people, but not all, but a prank that went a little bit too far. So we're going to roll the clip right now.
Firefighter Tenny Pierce won $2.7 million in damages after he was secretly served dog food by his employers in the Los Angeles Fire Department. While Pierce was eating the plate of spaghetti, he noticed his colleagues bursting out in laughter whenever he took a bite. After the incident, his co-workers taunted him by barking like dogs whenever he walked past. They claimed the incident was a prank meant to humble Pierce, who was nicknamed Big Dog. But in court, Pierce argued that the stunt was racial harassment.
So, look, after watching that clip, obviously you could see how maybe a prank could be a little too far, or things could be a little too much for people, and it could be not nice. Sometimes people can take it a little too far, and maybe their intentions don't mean bad. They just, are just trying to play a prank and have some fun. But what happens is usually when there's a bad prank that happens to us or something that happens to us, we end up having a grudge. There's a sense of frustration and anger that comes, and because of that, we feel bitter. And from that place of bitterness, then we want to wish the worst for someone. And that sense of revenge and hurt and frustration, it tastes sweet. The sense of self-justification. I mean, other things can feel bittersweet in our life, and it can even be things like when you see your friends going out somewhere without you, they didn't invite you. And you feel as if, like, come on, guys, why didn't you invite me to here? Like, FOMO, why didn't you include me in the invite? Or other times when you feel like someone gets more affirmation, or they get included, or they get recognized more than you. That can also bring up a sense of bittersweetness of like, how come that person gets more accolades and recognition than I do? I've done all of this stuff and I don't get seen. I mean, parents, right? Parents and siblings, and when you have your siblings and you can see it whether it happens to you or someone else in front of you. And so what do we do when we are in situations like this, when there's bitterness? When we're facing a bittersweet moment, because it's bitter because we're hurt, but sweet because we're vengeful. Sweet because we want revenge, we want justification, we want justice, we want something for us to benefit us. How do we go about this? And so today we're going to be talking through literally one verse, and it's from a guy named Paul in the Bible. Now, see, Paul, he was someone that, as he was starting this Christian movement at the time, back like 2,000 years ago, starting this movement, he was someone that was probably widely hated by Jewish people, also widely hated by people that didn't know Jesus, but probably like, I don't know, widely loved by the people that did start to follow Jesus after he told them about him. So this guy, Paul, because he's hated by a lot of different people, from Jewish people to other ethnicities, Greek, Roman, all those different kind of backgrounds, because of that, like it's bound to happen that if he's telling people about Jesus and it's against their faith, at that time, they're going to persecute him. They're going to hurt him. They're going to try to do things to him. So there's a lot of stories and moments in the Bible where Paul, he gets hurt, he gets imprisoned, he gets beaten, he gets stoned, he gets horrible things happen to him. But he's going to write this here in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. And this is what it says. It says this in verse 15. We're going to break it up into two parts. Verse 15, it says, make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong. Make sure no one pays back wrong for wrong. Now remember, look, Paul is talking here from the experience of, well, I could be bittersweet. These guys, I was just opening my mouth. I was just exercising my religious freedom to talk about Jesus. And so these people decide to beat him and throw him in prison. Now, if someone does him wrong like that, as soon as he gets out of prison, I don't know about you guys, if I was Paul, I would be like, as soon as I'm out of prison, I'm going to like punch that guy in the face. I'm going to figure out where he lives and figure out what I could do to his family, because I'm angry, I'm mad. How can he do this to me? And but Paul here, he's saying, make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong, because he's actually pointing out to the cycle of wrong. He's saying, hey, if you think doing wrong to someone else that's done you wrong is going to help, it's not, because what's going to happen is it's just going to continue a cycle of wrong after more wrong and then continuing wrong until it's an endless cycle. And then he goes on in the second part of verse 15, and it says this. It says, but always strive to do what is good for each other and for everyone else. Always strive to do what is good for each other and for everyone else. See, if you think about doing wrong for wrong, it's almost like, well, this person did me wrong, so I'm not going to apologize. And if I'm not going to apologize, I hope that something bad's going to happen to them. In fact, let me do something bad to them. Oh, but then we do something bad to them, they're going to do something bad back to us. Oh, but then they're not going to apologize for it. So if they're not going to apologize, I'm going to do something bad back to them. And that bad thing can look like a lot of things, and we're going to go through that in the next couple of weeks. But with these bad things that happen to other people, where does the cycle end? But this is where he's saying, hey, look at how Jesus has look how Jesus has forgiven us, has loved us, he has so much more for us. So because of that, he says in verse 15, well, hey, strive to do what is good for others and for everyone else. Now, that doesn't seem fair, does it? It doesn't seem fair to be nice when people are mean, or to be fair when people are unfair, or to look the other way when people do us wrong. But what Paul's trying to paint here is, it's almost like this. It's like when people do us wrong, the only way to end that cycle of hurt and of hatred and of bitterness is forgiveness, is letting go. And see, with that grudge that we have such a hard time to let go of people that didn't invite us, or people that were mean to us, or people that backstabbed us, while we hold on to that grudge, what usually ends up happening is that grudge ends up hurting us more than we wish we could hurt the other people. That grudge ends up controlling our life more than we wish, grudge and hatred can control other people. And because of that, because it rules our life, it's not God's best for us. We're settling for a life less than God's best. But God looks at us, he says, hey, I have more for you. There's power in forgiveness. In fact, sometimes it's going to taste bittersweet to hold on to your hatred and your grudge and your hurt, but it's even more sweet to let go and forgive and just trust and be open again. Why is it more sweet? Well, number one, you got to remember that the way that Jesus forgave us, that's how he's called us to forgive others. In all of our life, there's probably so many times that we have been mean to people, or have looked down on people, or we even failed to follow Jesus and backstabbed him. But over all these times, he kept forgiving us. He kept looking at us and wanting the best for us. So if you're here and you're wondering what bitterness sounds like in your head, or in anyone's head, this is what bitterness sounds like. Here, I'm going to break down just a list of, it's like a mental quiz. And if you ever have these thoughts towards people, you're most likely suffering from bittersweet syndrome. And so this is a list, okay? So here we go. This is a list to see if you're struggling with bittersweet syndrome. Do you have arguments with someone in your head? I do all the time, with people I work with my wife, with a lot of things, right? I have arguments with someone in my head about how they're wrong and I'm right and they need to fix their life. Are you giving a close friend or family member the silent treatment? Do you consistently subtweet comments in person or online to someone? Do you leave passive-aggressive comments on someone's Instagram pics? Do you think about ways you can pay someone back for what they did to you 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a week ago? If you have fallen in any of those categories, and maybe not Instagram, but maybe WhatsApp, maybe you privately WhatsApp people about certain people. If you've ever fallen into that, well, there's a chance that you have bitterness syndrome. You have bitterness syndrome. So the only way to find freedom from anger and resentment is, again, forgiveness. But I just want to give some practical tips on working through forgiveness and working through that process. So here we go. It says this: here are 3 steps that you can take to find freedom from bitterness and forgiveness. Number 1, acknowledge your feelings. Acknowledge that you feel bitter. Don't pretend like, oh no, it's okay. Oh, it's totally fine. Like, turning the other cheek doesn't mean that you're just being passive aggressive. Turning the other cheek is acknowledging that, like, man, I was hurt by this person, but I'm not going to let them control my life. So acknowledge that your feelings are valid and they're real, and you feel hurt by someone. The second one, don't let your feelings control you. That's the marking zone right there. When your feelings control you, then your anger, your resentment, your bitterness, that's going to control how you treat the other person on the other side. And the third thing, just repeat that process over and over. Keep acknowledging your feelings. Don't let that anger control you, and keep forgiving. And just keep being nice. Keep being like, you know what? You wanted to curse my life, but I want to bless your life. I want to bless you. I want to do things to give things for you. So you can never outlast love. Some people will try to give bitterness and anger and pay it back for that. But love will always restore and heal and solve the longest of issues. And so my encouragement to you guys is that as you remember how much God loves you and forgives you, then you can use that to help fuel how you love and forgive others. So I love you guys, and stay tuned to part 2 and part 3 of this Bittersweet series. Let's close in prayer. Jesus, I just pray that we would remember that you have called us to be people that would love you and love others. Help us let go of the grudges that control us, but help us instead turn our eyes to you and forgive others. So God, we thank you for this in Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. Catch us on our online YouTube, 3 p.m., starting at 3 p.m. On YouTube, you can find the link below every Saturday, or come physically to hang out with us at TC Youth, Citibank Level 9 every Saturday. We love you guys. See you on the next one.